position on this referendum is firstly that it's very important. The point that the Russians are making is that it's not so much a referendum about Prime Minister Renzi and whether or not he's popular and whether or not people feel that they're voting in confidence or not in confidence about him, but rather that it's a symbolic vote about the European Union. And the fact that it's turned out to be this resounding no vote shows that people here are very anti the European Union and anti its establishment. That's the reading that's coming from the Russian side. Also, the point that's being made by the Russian television networks, for example, is that this wasn't a referendum about yes or no in terms of establishment and anti-establishment, but it's a vote about anti-establishment and even more anti-establishment. So you have Renzi, who didn't always see eye to eye with Brussels, but now you have like your five-star movement, which is going to go even further than that. So it's hugely interesting to Russia because, like it is to the rest of the international community, what does it mean for the future not only of Italy, but also the future of the European Union? What does it mean about the rise of popular movements? You had Trump, you had Brexit, now potentially you have Italy. The Russians are very careful not to be alarmist. They don't want the message to go out that this is the end of Italy and markets should be crashing. But for them, it's more about what it means for the European Union and what's the next step in terms of the EU.
Which is a perception of five-star movements and the anti-establishment movements here?
The Russians are being very careful not to speak out against the Prime Minister or to show their support for the five-star movement. They don't really, this is an Italian issue, so they don't really want to show support for either. And like I mentioned, for the Russians it's more about the implications for the European Union and what it says for Europe as a whole.
Are you surprised about the fact that Renzi left the government?
Me, personally?
Yeah.
I am a little bit surprised that he resigned, although that is what he said he was going to do, because he did have an option not to resign, even though he'd said it. And in the last few days that I've been here in Italy covering the referendum, it's a question that I asked Italians, was assuming that the polls have it right, and indeed they did, and he lost the referendum, do you think he will stay true to his word and resign? And to be honest with you, most Italians said to me it wasn't a done deal. They weren't sure that he was definitely going to resign, that there was still a door open and that he could still, even though he'd said that, continue to remain in politics. So personally I'm surprised, but I also think it's about, there would have been so much criticism against him if he had said he was going to resign and then didn't resign once he lost. So